And we're on. Hey everybody, welcome back to KCR College Radio. You're listening to the award-winning Sound Estate here at San Diego State University. For those of you who are listening for the very first time, I'm your host for this evening, Tisha for my entertainment talk show, Tishtalk, where each week I choose a topic in entertainment, grab some of my friends, and we talk about it for the hour. If you want to follow me at KCR Tishtalk, that's KCR TISH Talk on all the social medias, which is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And also you can find me on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. There you go. Apple Podcasts for KCR College Radio's KCR On Demand. So you can follow me for all the content. Shoot me some tweets on the Twitters if you guys have any questions or concerns and all that good stuff. So this is officially the last show of the semester. Unfortunately, we've had some issues with programming and such, so I am actually pre-recording this as usual. Again, I apologize. I feel like it's been a bit of a trend this past semester, but things have been kind of crazy. But you know what? I'm doing my best to try and get y'all a show. So, yeah. So again, I am not in the studio tonight, as I have managerial things to attend to as KCR celebrates the last day of the semester for KCR. So, yeah, I hope you guys at least enjoy this. Shoot me any tweets that you guys have in terms of reacts and all that good stuff. I don't think as of right now I will be doing summer shows. If there's a high demand, maybe I will. It just kind of depends. Maybe I'll jump on the mic every now and then and do an impromptu show. We'll see. But yeah, semester's coming to a close. Everything's wrapping up here. This week has undoubtedly been emotional for me. Obviously, as KCR comes to a close, that means some of my friends are also coming to a close of their time here at KCR. And, you know, semester is just, it's coming up. Next year is the big year for me, so just trying to prepping and all that. But anyways, enough about me. So again, this is pre-recorded, which means that we are talking about something big that we saw today. For those of you who don't know and who have not been listening, and I'm going to tell you right now, this show is going to be spoiler-filled. We'll try and go maybe the first 10-15 minutes of content and do our best to try and keep it spoiler-free. But considering that the movie just came out, we just came from seeing it, some people still haven't seen it, and I'm going to say it right now, tonight's topic is about Infinity War. So if you have not seen the movie, I suggest you tune out. Don't listen to this. As much as I would love to have you guys listen to this episode, as my last episode of the semester, don't listen to it. We're going to get into it. I know, hashtag Thanos wants your silence. Just please, you know, don't be tempted. Walk away. For those of you who have seen it, along with myself and my guest, obviously outside of this, no spoilers to anybody else, so you keep it fair. But like I said, we'll try and do the first few minutes. We'll answer some questions that were kind of given to me prior, kind of to the best of our ability without giving away any big spoilers. And then once we kind of get that way through, I'll make another announcement saying that this will be spoilers from here on out. So again, if you guys have any questions and stuff like that, once everybody eventually watches it, maybe I can do another recap episode about it and do more analysis and all that good stuff. So we shall see. But anyways, my guest has been sitting here, so I might as well introduce him. So tonight, like I said, I went to go watch Infinity War at a AMC fan event. We got really cool coins and stuff like that, and I went with my good friend Cameron Laufer.
Hello.
So yeah, Cameron is obviously a regular here on the show, so thank you very much for coming here.
No problem.
But for those of people who don't know you, do you want to introduce yourself and all that good stuff?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Cameron Laufer here, longtime listener and frequent guest on Tishtalk.
Yeah.
Also, like, crazy long old friend of Tisha
and
now coworker.
That's right.
Well, let's see. Probably 2004, 2005. So coming up on 13.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So a friendship that has hidden puberty if it were to be aged like a human.
No, wait, Andrew and I are at 13.
Oh, are we? We must be, 15?
I think it's 15 because Andrew and I are at 13 for this year.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. So, wow, 15 years, my dude. Sounds about right, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Cameron said, we are now coworkers.
Yes, we are.
A little bit of an update since the last time you've been here.
I know, for sure. For a while, I was like, gotta get a job. Like the Tracy Chapman song, still can't get a job. Don't want to get sued. So anyways.
Remember, FCC protects us.
For sure. Yeah, for like 3 seconds in a flat K.
It's okay.
But yeah.
But yeah, so that is the dealio for tonight. Cam's my guest. Our topic is Infinity War. First 2 minutes are going to be about spoiler-free-ish, and then from then on out, it's just anything's game. Spoilers. So just so y'all know.
I'll try. I'm sorry if I blurt out a spoiler.
I know. We'll do our best. But like I said, at one point, it's unavoidable. It's just going to be spoiler-filled, so y'all just better be prepared. So I had a few questions from another longtime listener of the show. Shout out to @abangpanoy, Josh from the Slack and from the Great Mates podcast. He sent us a few questions. As some folks, like obviously the Aussies have access to the movie now.
Awesome.
So, he has some questions for us. There's a couple of them here. So let's see. So we were kind of talking about it afterwards. He asks, excited for the next Marvel movie to come out, which the next one after this is going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then after that, we were talking about it. Then it would be
Captain Marvel
next year. Yeah, I'm hyped.
I am excited. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the first Ant-Man movie. But honestly, I'm really, really excited to see, oh my God, why can't Evangeline Lilly?
Yeah.
See what she can do, because she's going to have a more prominent role.
Definitely. And I like her to begin with anyways.
I did too. Hope Van.
And what's it called? I love seeing her fight.
Yes.
Because like you were saying on the way over here, like you're a big guy in terms of like fight choreo, and I'm the same way. Just like watching it and knowing that Marvel can produce really high quality like fight choreo, I think it's just like fantastic.
Yes, I think that knowing the amount of time it takes to rehearse something like that and seeing it just executed, like first of all, I don't like how DC films will sometimes like speed up their action sequences, because I think that while some people enjoy that because it gives it kind of a surreal effect, I like how Marvel actually shoots the sequence in, I guess, real time.
Yeah,
you could say.
Mm-hmm. And you can even see, it's funny you say that too. I want to say Chris Evans, in lieu of Infinity War coming out this week, I think either a day ago or something like that, he released some of the footage of the fight choreo he was practicing for Winter Soldier.
Oh, wow.
And it looked really good. I was like, oh my God.
I mean, like,
and he's not just because he's my favorite.
Well, and in Captain America Civil War, the airport scene, I think that entire sequence.
The airport scene is your favorite? Oh, for Civil War.
For fight sequences. For Civil War, I'm talking.
I think my favorite, when it comes to Cap, I think when he and Bucky were fighting for the very first time,
that was
in
good
Winter
too.
Soldier was really good. And like the knife choreo that Sebastian Stan, who plays as Bucky, had to learn just looks slick.
No, all the Cap movies have like probably the best choreography in terms of fighting.
But I think it's because it's most of the time, if not all the time, it's always hand to hand combat.
His powers, if you think about powers, are more physical as opposed to supernatural.
Like Doctor Strange or even like Iron Man, it's more tech based, and his is more mystical. So at least this one is like a bit more hand to hand.
But anyway. Definitely after a movie like this that was so kind of heavy, no spoilers there.
Okay.
I am looking forward to the humor and levity that Ant-Man will have.
I think it's kind of smart for them to do it too.
Just a little like refresher and
give you a breath.
Yeah, exactly.
Break for everything.
Hello Kitty Pez dispensers that are the size of a car.
Yeah, I want to say they did the same thing after Civil War too, huh? Or did
Ultron?
Ant-Man? Or was it Ultron?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. So
that was great. I loved that. Yeah.
We were also kind of saying when in terms of like Ant-Man, and since we're talking about it now, we were kind of speculating where it's gonna fall in the MCU timeline.
Yeah.
And I'm of the belief that this movie is following the same timeline as Infinity War. It's either just gonna start a little bit earlier than the Infinity War, or like happening around the same time before, or like it's gonna happen before the end of Infinity War. Is my prediction.
I agree with you too, because there's a spoiler that I won't reveal quite yet, but because of how that movie ends, I feel like it has to predate Infinity War, just because of practical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like it's just because MCU is all about continuity and everything kind of gathering together.
Exactly.
So I think that it is kind of smart to have it that way, just because of the like obviously like the tone of Ant-Man and the Wasp, or just like Ant-Man in general is very much like more comedic and different than what you see for Infinity War or for whatever. So I think it is kind of smart that they kind of keep it almost pre-Infinity War, but also kind of like still tied in with it, so that by the time Ant-Man and the Wasp ends, and then obviously it's going to be the end of Infinity War, and then after that is going to be the prequel leading into Captain Marvel, right?
Yes.
So when everything, seeing that like the directors are all kind of tying in all the necessary characters for this movie or what comes next for the rest of the universe, kind of makes sense that that is a little bit more premature.
Right. And I like how Captain Marvel is going to be a prequel to a lot of the events in the MCU because it's supposed to take place in the 90s. So that'll be interesting because we haven't seen a quote unquote period film in the MCU since probably the first Avenger, Captain America, the first Avenger.
I mean, kind of a little bit before, like the pre-beginnings of like Guardians.
Oh, you're right.
But not entirely though. Not like entirely set. Like in the beginning, you kind of see Peter's for Guardians of the Galaxy, like
Volume 2?
For Volume 1 and 2.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they kind of like, but that's more like flashbacks and stuff like that.
True.
So it'll be interesting. Yeah, you are right though. I want to say that like Cap's first Avenger was probably like the only other movie that has like it immersed in a different time period.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I want to say. Let's see. So Josh is also asking thoughts on the film overall. I felt it was very meh. To be fair, I'm not that much of a superhero film fan to begin with, and I didn't watch the last two that were released, so I kind of missed some of the context at the beginning.
Oh.
And that was another thing we were kind of talking about. I think, in my opinion, the movie overall is solid for Marvel fans. For audiences outside of Marvel, you will be lost, in my opinion. Like, you can still enjoy it for an action film, but there will be a lot of things that fly over your head because you won't have the context of at least maybe even like the first two Avengers movies.
I would agree with that. And I would say that we're getting to the point now, since the MCU is like 10 years old, where it's like we're running out of, besides the addition of new characters, it's very difficult to kind of rehash like origin story plots within these Avengers type films. The one thing that was great about the first Avengers movie was that all you needed to know was the Tesseract. That was basically it. This movie, you need to know why Thanos is collecting the Infinity Stones to create the Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And these have been teased in little plot bits over the past 10 years.
Course of 10 years.
So there were little nuggets in this movie too, where I literally was like reading up on this, like in the car waiting and everything after we watched the movie, and things that I forgot about, little details that are revealed in increments in this movie that I think would be hard if you have not been following the MCU as a dedicated fan.
I want to say the only other franchise that has managed to pull this off, because regardless, either way, I mean, obviously we still enjoyed it, but even regardless, the movie got like an 86 coming out of the box office. So it's still doing well, even though they're like, obviously because Marvel has a huge fan base, but it's like, obviously it would do better if it was able to cater to more audiences, but that's not the case. But I want to say the only other franchise that's been able to do something like this is probably Star Wars.
I would say so, yeah.
Because I can't imagine, or I haven't really talked with anybody who's watched like one movie and been like, oh, it's a really solid movie on its own and understand everything that happens. Like, you still need the context of the other movies to kind of get everything.
Yeah, I would agree.
No matter what order you watch it in. But yeah, that's my opinion. I enjoyed it. At the end of the day, I still really enjoyed it because I'm a big old nerd. So.
I liked it a lot. I think it delivered in a way that the previous Avengers film, Age of Ultron, did not. I just thought that there was a really good balance between, some levity, jokes, humor, and I mean, the best part of these Avengers films, I think, honestly, is also the interactions between characters whose storylines normally would not, what's the right word to use here? Characters that normally wouldn't interact with each other if they weren't in this particular set of circumstances.
For example, Guardians interacting with like Doctor Strange.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
Or just another example too would be in this movie. Oh my God, why can't I remember certain things? I always blank when I'm on your show. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We got an hour.
I'll get back to it. Yeah.
All right. Well, Josh had one more question, and this might start segueing into, it's about the 15-minute mark, so that's kind of where I wanted to be. Kind of starts with segueing into spoilers. So yeah, right about now, we're gonna get into the last question that Abang Panoy, Josh, thank you for your questions, are gonna get into. So just so y'all know, this is spoiler territory. So if you don't already get it, we are gonna go full deep depth into theories, everything about it.
Perfect.
Spoilers. So that is your last and final warning. Tune out now so that you can avoid any spoilers, so you guys can still enjoy the movie without being spoiled. Obviously, for those of you guys have seen it, don't ruin it for anybody else. Let them watch the movie on their own and enjoy it entirely.
Thanos demands your silence.
Thanos demands your silence. And honestly, then also tweet me what you think in terms of theories and in terms of what you liked about the movie, whatever. I would love to hear it. I'd love to have that conversation with you guys. I would do another show afterwards once more people watch it too. Honestly, I'd be down. But from here on out, spoilers. I could not stress that enough. So with that, Josh's final question was his thoughts on the last part of the film.
Okay.
My God.
What a loaded question, actually.
I know, right? Do we want to start from the beginning or do I just want to jump around?
Go for it.
Okay, to answer Josh's question, I have a lot of feelings. I cried. So that should say something. I cried. I think the one that got me the most was Peter
Parker.
at the end.
Peter
Parker at the end. That one killed me. That's when I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
That made me really cry. I think it was an excellent way to tie up the movie and still have enough of a cliffhanger for what happens next in the MCU in the next part of Infinity War. I think they did a really good job with kind of tying up what's happening with this movie and story arc, but still obviously having enough leeway for like, okay, well, now you know what's going to happen come the next movie.
I would agree. What I mean? Yeah. I mean, I have so many theories, and I'm ready to be proven wrong. Like, if anyone thinks that my theories are dumb or whatever, you know what? That's why it's called a theory. It's because you can be as crazy and wild as you want.
Okay, well, shoot. What are your theories? What are you currently sitting on right now?
So something that I posed was just because. So we know that there are. Okay, I'm trying to craft my thought. So, half of the characters are now deceased because after Thanos has obtained all of the stones to form the Infinity Gauntlet, he has wiped out half of the universe's population, which, as a consequence, half of our heroes
are gone.
Mm-hmm. And I had this weird theory just because one of the stones that you're able to control time.
The time stone.
Yeah. It's I'm wondering if they're going to be able to go back in time, and in addition to bringing back certain characters to life, I don't know if it's going to be as necessarily as linear as when Thanos, so in the movie, since we're talking about it as if people have already seen it now.
Yeah. This is spoiler territory.
Yeah,
so
sorry. So
no, go for it.
he basically resurrected Vision, right?
Yeah.
But he went linearly, where he literally went back in time so that he could extract the stone before Wanda destroyed it.
Yeah.
But does that necessarily mean that that is going to be the way that particular stone works, or does that mean that we have to go to a different dimension or whatever alternate universe?
Oh, I see what you mean.
So what I mean is by resurrecting people, does it mean that necessarily? Because I'm wondering if through Thanos' choices or whatever, inevitably half of the characters have to go anyways, or there has to be some kind of death, some payoff, a life for a life. Exactly, to balance out the universe or whatever, because they keep stressing these things. Thanos keeps talking about balance. There was the sword or knife he gave to Gamora as a child, and they kept flashing to that. And then there was the other thing too, where there's a line that Thanos says when he's about to and unsuccessfully tries to murder Tony, and he says, "I hope they remember you." There were all these little things. And so my weird little theory was I said to Tisha that at the end of the movie, the Avengers that are left are the core original four. You've got Captain America, Steve Rogers. You've got Thor. You've got Iron Man still alive, and you've got
Black Widow and Hulk
as well.
Yeah.
We don't know. Well, no, didn't Hulk go by?
Did he? I don't think so.
I think he did.
The Hulkbuster was still there at the end of the movie.
But I thought inside he went to Ash.
Did he really?
I think so.
Oh. Shoot.
So my whole theory is I'm wondering if the reason why those characters remained is because maybe they will demise in.
I mean, if you think about it too, it would make sense because the
characters they killed off. That was why I had this whole WTF moment. Was
all the characters that were essentially chosen would have essentially carried on the rest of the Avengers storyline. So obviously, again, if y'all are still listening, you don't know, I can't tell you anywhere else. But again, you know, there's Peter Parker. You have basically all of the Guardians with the exception of Rocket and Gamora, technically.
Yes.
There's Black Panther, Bucky, White Wolf / Winter Soldier, and Sam.
Right.
Which is Falcon, right? Is that all?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, right? Because then like all the Guardians people, obviously. So these are all obviously people who were supposed to be in the MCU for the long run.
Yeah.
Where you have your core original OG Avengers folks kind of still left over. And so I think it would be a nice send-off if that was the case and it was like a life for a life kind of thing, because they even said that for the Soul Stone, a soul for a soul.
That's what I'm thinking is like there has to be some sort of
equal exchange.
I don't know if I'm right or if I'm wrong.
I think it would be an interesting theory if they went down that way. I personally have not read Infinity Gauntlet.
I know I haven't read it either.
So I wouldn't be able to tell you. I mean, I probably will pick up the comic now just to see where the similarities and differences are.
And what was weird is like Doctor Strange, while they're on Titan, he is literally going through the various scenarios. He's going through time to see every possible situation or scenario where they win or where the outcome is they win. And we said too that his last words to Tony before he essentially crumbles into dust is, "We're in the end game."
Yeah.
And so you and I were talking about the wordplay and how there has to be some significance there.
Yeah, I always think there is. Just being now I feel like I could say I'm like a rhetorical analyst or like at least as a rhetorical writer, you pick a lot at the word choices and just like the decisions that people make and what they want to convey from that. So obviously when you look at Doctor Strange and he says we are in the end game, he is also amongst the few that or amongst the many that end up passing away with the choice of, you know, this random choice of selection, so to speak, in this MCU rapture. And by we, he's always speaking to Tony. Tony is one of the ones left over. Yeah. So really, like Cameron was saying, like there's a possibility that the reason why he handed over the Time Stone is because he knew that Tony needed to stay alive in order for there to actually be a win in this for them.
Exactly. I like also the phrase you said, MCU rapture. Like that should be the way we call it, just because it is a rapture.
Though. It is. In both like obviously this new storyline in Infinity War, but also the fact that we all know that these folks can't do these movies forever.
True.
And so, you know, you can kind of, and people already were kind of speculating in terms of who would be booted out in this movie because people's contracts aren't going to line up with the rest of the movies. Like obviously, Chris Evans' time is coming up. Robert Downey Jr. has already said he's not doing any more solo Iron Man movies. But even like the characters, you hear them like they're getting ready to phase out of being superheroes. Like Tony and Pepper are supposed to have kids and be married. You know, Steve is on the run.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Iron Man being removed from the Avengers, like if there are Easter eggs or hints at that throughout this movie, in that, you know, when Tony's told to describe his relationship to Peter Parker. Yeah. He says, like, is it like a mentor? Is he your liege? It was who is it he spoke to?
To Doctor Strange.
Yeah. And he says, no, like, oh, you're an Avenger. Congratulations, kid. You're an Avenger now. So, you know, part of the thing with Tony's role in Spider-Man Homecoming was he was the mentor. He was kind of like
his dad
replacement for Uncle Ben. Yeah. But I'm wondering if like that also is more a hint at the fact that maybe Tony will no longer be in that role in the future of Spider-Man movies within the MCU.
Oh, now that he's kind of booted up to be
an Avenger. Maybe it will be Peter on his own, Peter without a mentor. But I don't know.
I mean, if what we are kind of speculating that at one point already like Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man is going to disappear from this timeline,
which I hope to be wrong about.
Me too. I mean, obviously, I want everyone to survive. I unfortunately got my wish. Now that I think about it.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on that?
That Steve Rogers survived. Oh. Because the entire time everyone's like, Steve's gonna die, Steve's gonna die, Steve's gonna die. And I'm like, no, my husband. But unfortunately, I got my wish.
When Bucky started like evaporating. Basically, you and I had two different reactions. I hear this, whoa, and I go, no, because my reaction is like, but you're supposed to live. Like, what's going on now? So that was kind of.
I think it's such a good twist, because if they had gone the route that everybody was thinking, it'd be too predictable.
Oh, especially for part 2. Now it really generates, touching off of like a good movie for the fans. Like, definitely these cliffhangers are like,
they did a really good job. And I want to say that the way that they ended it, I personally, like, in a writer's aspect, it was great.
yes.
In a fan's aspect, I'm pissed. Because it was too fast. I'm left with all these questions. You don't know really what's going on, other than these folks are basically dead.
Yes.
And everyone else, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a level of shock, obviously, within that characters, but also with the audience, like, what? You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Because it happened so fast. It happened so fast. Because you're like, at the same time, I was like, I knew something's up. Even though, like, Thor obviously is really the only other good match against Thanos at this point. Like, he's the only person that can be leveled with this guy. I figured, I'm like, there's no way. Like, I looked at the time too, and I was like, ooh, where we're at right now and how long this movie is supposed to be, which is 2 hours and 30 minutes. There's no way that all of a sudden they can defeat Thanos and everybody survives here.
Right.
Like, there's absolutely no way that's possible. And so, as soon as it literally went with a snap of his fingers, there you go.
Yep, there we go.
That was it. And it happened so quickly. And I was like, what's happening? What? Like, I was sitting there in shock. And also saying a bunch of other words, but also in shock.
What were your thoughts about Thanos, though?
I really liked it.
Isn't it weird? Like, he's a CGI villain, but he's one of the best villains I think MCU has done.
We were kind of talking about it over dinner, too. That Marvel has been known to kind of create essentially like two-dimensional villains,
right? And
kind of just be like, oh, the baddie who's driven by crazy this, crazy that, whatever. And they've only successfully been able to create a few successful villains, obviously. Which also reminds me, because after I finish this off, I'm gonna do a little bit of ad read, and then we'll get back into villains talk. Because we didn't touch on one thing that was kind of important-ish in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but in terms of like how they wrote Thanos, I thought it was perfect. You see that this guy is obviously, I think one of the best ways to put it is that you kind of see the same structure in Kilgrave from Jessica Jones.
I would agree.
And the reason why I say that is because I think you find a good villain when you find yourself sympathizing for them to an extent.
Yeah.
Because they genuinely think whatever they're doing is right. And they are like 100% motivated by it. Like, they don't see the wrong in it, or if anything, they accept it, and they are able to justify their actions even though it's clearly wrong. I would say you see that with Thanos. You see that with Kilgrave from Jessica Jones. Killmonger. Definitely Killmonger for Black Panther. Even Kingpin from Daredevil.
Yeah.
You know, these characters, I think, have been written so well that you are able to sympathize and actually kind of almost care for these creatures, even though they're like obviously the baddies and they're the antagonists and stuff like that. But I think that's what makes a good villain.
And then their intentions, if they can have some way of, I think that's what makes it so what makes a villain interesting to me is if they believe in their cause or like whatever, and they feel justified in their actions, but it's the way in which they justify it that makes it, like, if it's somewhat charismatic or whatever, you can understand the appeal or the intention behind it.
Yeah.
Besides being like, so like in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Peter's father, why can't I remember his name? He's
him guy dude.
Oh, I should know.
It was oh shoot, let me look it up right now.
I feel like it starts with a U. No, it's not. No,
I'm
totally
I
wrong.
forgot his name. I'm gonna look it up right now, but it was Kurt Russell, wasn't it?
It was Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
but his whole character, it was about like taking over the universe, and
his name, Ego. Why did I think it was guy or dude?
And it was like a short little Ego's whole motivation was, to take over the universe because he wants to be everywhere. But that's like a selfish kind of intention. What makes Thanos so interesting is Thanos believes in this genocide that's going to wipe out half of the population because he says the universe has limited resources, so it cannot support all of these beings at once. And we need to create balance in the universe. That's why he gives Gamora a knife, and he talks about the weight in her hand,
Yeah.
and how you need to balance everything, and that, that's also why I think when, here's another spoiler, he obtains the soul stone, and it must be paid for with life or sacrifice.
It was like the thing that he
cared
loved
for
the
most was Gamora.
Yeah.
So in his mind, even though it pains him, and he talks about this great loss later on to everyone, is you don't know what kind of, he's like, boy, you know what kind of day I had today. I killed my daughter, but like, you know what? It's all good because the balance in the universe is
here. It's for the greater good.
That was something that was kind of intriguing. Not something I support at all. I do not condone what he did.
No,
but
obviously not.
But it's
intergalactic genocide.
Yeah, totally wrong. But at the same time, you can appreciate his flawed logic behind it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I really liked Thanos. This is supposed to be like his origin story, or at least like more into depth of his character. And I think they did a really good job providing as much as they can, at least in this first part.
Definitely.
But really quick, before we start going off on another tangent, because there will be many. For those of you who don't know, you can follow KCR College Radio at KCR College Radio. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat if you guys want to follow us at the radio station here, just to see what we're up to, as well as following us on, again, Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud for KCR's On Demand. It's our newest podcasting forum. We have original podcasts made by your radio hosts here, as well as show archives. Hopefully we'll be getting more shows within the next year, but right now, Brett and Mackee in the Morning, as well as myself, we have our shows on podcast form as there as well. And also, even though our last day was today, for those of you who will be coming back here in the fall for SDSU, we are also always tabling at Music on the Mesa at the Farmers Market from 12 to 1. You can come join us next semester. We always give away free tickets, giveaways from House of Blues, as well as North Park Observatory. If you guys want to come hang out with us, spin a wheel, grab some prizes. Today we had like a banner from Frank Turner, and it's like we do fun stuff. We do games, we play great music. So definitely come hang out with us next semester, as well as just applying for a KCR. Now that the semester is coming to a close this week, and obviously we will be taking applications over the summer. Definitely go to kcr.sdsu.edu if you guys want to apply and join us and do what we do. You want to have your own radio show? Come join us and have a radio show. You want to write for the blog? Write for the blog. You can even create your own podcast. It's a lot of fun. You can always come say hi to me and everybody else here at KCR. We would love to have you. So that's my little ad read. But to kind of go back to the villains talk, there was one that I genuinely am surprised that we didn't actually talk about right away, because it was one of the first ones I wanted to talk about.
Go for it.
Was Loki's death.
Yeah.
Context is that I saw spoilers for this the night before, and I was very, very pissed off. It was unbelievable. It was like I was scrolling, and then it was like a comic, and it was on Tumblr. So it's like, you know how like when you post it, whatever you're posting is at the bottom, but like if it's a picture, it's like the top picture and then the post thing. So I was going through and I'm like, oh, that'd be like an interesting way for him to die, because people had been speculating how he's gonna die. And then you see at the very bottom, spoilers, no one can stop me, block me now. I'm like, oh my god. I was so angry.
Report the account,
right?
Suspend it.
So dumb. But yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. I think it is at the same time, I think it's like it's a nice way to kind of wrap it up, because you still see him at the very end try and be a good person and try.
Right.
And he's trying his best, even though his best is essentially flawed, because like he's still being a trickster in one sense or another. He's like genuinely, honestly trying. At the same time, a part of me obviously is like, why would you do that? Like, you see this character going through all of his character development, and I want to see more of that. Even though I have enjoyed his character development throughout the course of the movies, obviously Ragnarok being like his peak, and kind of essentially accepting the fact that he wants to be in the spotlight as a hero, right, and doing the right thing. And you kind of see him struggling with that, obviously, in the few scenes that he was in the beginning of the movie. So yeah, like I'm like, obviously I'm heartbroken, because I do enjoy that character a lot.
I do too. Again, it'll be interesting to see whether or not that character is resurrected in part 2, but I feel of all the characters died in this
He's gonna
movie,
stay dead.
I think he's going to remain dead.
I
And my
know.
reasoning for that is I just don't know how much more they have in terms of arc for that character, because it's always been this constant battle between him being good or evil. How many times can he be a trickster? How many times can he betray Thor?
Yeah.
And that's why we love the character. But at the same time, too, what I thought was so cool about Ragnarok was how it kind of set up storylines for Thor that were not Asgard centric, Asgard located, and
Yeah.
then in addition to that, too, side characters that Thor can interact with who aren't Loki, you know?
Which is a really great segue into where the hell is Valkyrie?
Yeah, let's bring that up. That was my immediate thought. Was so at the end of Ragnarok, when the Asgardians are essentially being they're on a spaceship, and then there's a giant spaceship flying overhead,
Which is Thanos' ship.
which I didn't know that. Like, I kept hoping it was the Guardians because of the trailer, the way that the trailer was cut.
Yeah.
I thought it was I was wrong.
Looking at the ship
So wrong.
and then like seeing how Thor was in the trailer, I actually thought it was Thanos because I'm like, oh no. It was just kind of putting those things together. I went the opposite but also correct way, and I was just like,
But I mean, Valkyrie is supposed to be alive.
Yeah, and here's my theory. I think she's alive because at one point Thor is talking about Asgard and what has happened and all that stuff. And he says at one point, I'm almost positive, he says half of Asgard is dead. And it kind of goes back to the whole balance thing.
Right.
So I think somehow either Thanos let them get away or they escaped in time. Valkyrie and the crew that was there with them or whatever, from the I forgot the planet, the fighting planet with Jeff Goldblum, like the rock guy that
I know it's not Nowhere. It's oh my god.
I forgot what it was called, but basically like the ragtag team of people that they had with them coming from like the games that Hulk was in and Valkyrie. I want to say they all banded together with as many Asgards as they can and escaped, while the other half stayed on board with Thor and Loki and
Scar,
yeah,
or Sakaar.
Sakaar. There you go. It's Sakaar. So those who had initially been on Sakaar, so Valkyrie and this people who were fighting us initially, have the rest of Asgard, whoever else they were able to grab, and somehow either escaped or Thanos let them go. That's what I think. Because there's no way nobody else survived that explosion.
Right.
Except for Thor.
And company.
Well, I mean, like, but from
yeah.
that initial explosion, like, you know what I mean? After Thanos left, I don't think anybody else survived it.
Yeah.
So I think she's still alive.
Probably.
And it makes sense, too, because she wasn't on any other promo material. And same thing with Hawkeye. Hawkeye was not in any other promo material. Ant-Man wasn't either.
No, he wasn't.
So those three characters, even though we know that they've been filming with everybody, have not shown up in these promos because they're not technically in this movie. They're going to be in the next one.
I would have to agree with you in that theory. Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah, man. I think I'm still in shock, honestly.
What was the hardest death for you to watch?
It was Peter Parker's death.
Yeah.
That one had to be it. Because I was really kind of emotional once we see Tony get hurt. And I was like, no, my dad. That's my pops. So I was already kind of emotional. But then, like, obviously everybody else, that's when it's happening, they don't know what's happening. Right. Or at the very least, when they realize it, it's too late. And they're like, and they essentially have to accept it. Like, oh, this is it. Yeah. Where it's like Peter, he's a kid and he's freaking out and he's seeing all of his friends disappearing. And essentially, like, it's coming to an end. And he begins to feel it. And he's like, and so when he's like saying, like, I'm sorry, like, you know, like, I don't want Mr. Stark. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And he's freaking out because he's a kid. And so, like, thinking about it makes me want to cry. Seeing him freak out like that, essentially, again, Tom Holland he's such a great actor. Yeah. Because he got me in Spider-Man Homecoming too.
Very good.
When he was like trying to pep talk himself and he's like lifting the entire building off of him and stuff like that. Yeah. And he's like crying about it. Like, golly, like that made me cry. And seeing him do this in Infinity War made me cry. You know, it's a testament to his acting because he did a damn good job. I
liked that. I didn't like it, like watching that, but yeah. I thought his performance was good.
It's just he has such a great way to convey like the true fear as a kid in this scenario where he's surrounded by adults and he's surrounded by like the real world. Like you see like the genuine fear and not actually genuinely understanding what the risk is.
Right.
So, you know, I think that one probably hit me the hardest.
Huh.
What about you?
Gamora on oh my god, it's the planet.
Yeah. The planet where they find the Soul Stone.
Yes. Yeah, that was just a really...
That was the one that got you?
I liked... Yeah, just because, first of all, said Vormir.
There you go.
Spoiler, Red Skull randomly just popping out of nowhere, being like, yo, I'm on this planet now.
Okay, did
the
we
Soul
find
Stone
out...
must be paid for with life. Like,
Yeah.
What? That was weird.
I loved it. And here's the thing. I don't mind going to the movies the night it comes out because, like, I know everybody else in the audience, they're
Gonna
just
be hyped.
They're going to be hyped and they're just as passionate as me. Yeah, exactly.
That was the best
audience
reaction.
reactions. But everybody else is like,
What?
They're so confused.
Because he's been in one movie.
Yeah.
I mean, a bigger character in the comics. But again, it's like
literally.
I need to watch the movie again just to figure out what exactly he was like. He justified it was basically he was just here, and like instead of it being like, oh yeah, you're here, he's like, I got here this way, but I couldn't hear because everyone was going. Oh,
I know, Sam.
So
honestly, that I know. I have a strong feeling Cameron and I are gonna go watch it again.
Again, just because I need to figure out more details.
Seriously, like no
Hear
kidding.
the details. But yeah, Gamora's whole line where she says like she laughs because Red Skull says, you know, the Soul Stone must be paid through sacrifice. The thing that you care about the most must be sacrificed in order to obtain it. And Gamora laughs because she goes, the universe like is punishing you because you don't care about anything. You don't love anything.
Yeah.
And Thanos like actually does love her in this weird, super messed up way. He cares for her. And just her death, it's the look of like total terror because she realizes he's totally going to go through with this.
Yeah.
I'm dispensable. And then the other thing too, which was like the acceptance of the whole situation was really cool because I think that Zoe Saldana is kind of an underappreciated actress.
I think she's the same thing with like Tom Holland, where it's like they are able to convey the emotions that typically most people are like, oh my god, like it's very realistic,
right?
Like you see it in her fear and her screaming and everything and stuff like that, like the way that it kind of happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely had a lot more of a dramatic role this time around, and I like that too. Though she's not just like screaming at people.
Yeah.
Which, not to say I love that too, because she's funny. But, I want to say that was like really very, very strong.
And I got what I wanted. I got Nebula, Gamora moments of like sisterhood, which was...
A little bit.
Speaking on that, I think we touched on this at dinner. I think one of the coolest moments in this movie is the scene with Okoye,
yes.
Scarlet Witch, and...
Scarlett Johansson.
Black Widow.
Yeah.
That was really cool. You see like these three ladies who are like, because one of the children of Thanos is like, you will die to like Scarlet Witch alone, just like Vision. And then Black Widow just pops out with Okoye and it's like, no, she won't.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I really like that. Like, I think the last time you see Black Widow and Okoye interact was in Civil War. And she's like, if you touch my king again, I will, you know what I mean? That was her.
Oh my
and
God,
she was like,
yeah.
I would love, and then I remember.
Okoye still has the best lines, one-liners.
my favorite line from her had to be like, when we were opening the doors from Wakanda, this is not what I was expecting. And he was like, what were you expecting? She's like, the Olympics?
Yeah.
Maybe a Starbucks? And I'm like, girl, same.
Like, I mean, and the first line, like, we know of her in the MCU is the thing. Does she speak English? When she wants to.
Yeah, exactly.
The sass.
She wants to.
But, yeah, this one as well. Like, she couldn't have... What was she doing up there?
Yeah.
Like, she could have helped Scarlet Witch, but...
It's true.
Yeah.
But I also think this movie also really, really highlighted how powerful Scarlet Witch is.
Yeah.
Because, like, she honestly was, like, when she came up against people, she has, like, the most potential. She literally destroyed an Infinity Stone.
Yes.
And even though, obviously, Thanos turned back time and brought it back, I don't think people understand that, like, she literally destroyed one of the 6 remnants that, like came to existence from the Big Bang, quote unquote, so to speak.
Yeah.
In this MCU universe. And, like...
And we haven't seen her use her powers since...
Civil War, but even in Civil War, not that much.
Well, and then
you
in
see
Age
it
of
more in
she's
Age of
like
Ultron.
really, really depressed about the collateral damage she's like caused and her brother dying.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah.
So it was great to see her be a badass at like a definitive moment.
Exactly. I definitely want to say she was in the limelight. In terms of her powers, yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of makes sense that they really highlight on that too, though. Just because as Emily Osment has been like talking. Emily Osment? No, that's not right. Elizabeth
Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen. Emily Osment's from Hannah Montana.
Shout out.
Yeah. Elizabeth Olsen was saying that she is interested in doing a standalone movie for Scarlet Witch.
That'd be fun.
Some people speculating that it'd be House of M. Have you ever read that?
I have not.
It's interesting.
Can they use X-Men characters now that Disney owns Fox? There were a lot of Alien references, by the way. And I was like, is this like a wink wink to the fact that Disney now owns Fox? But saying.
I mean, I think Peter... Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because they can. Because Peter was also making references to Star Wars, too, in Civil War. Have you guys ever seen the super old movie? Oh man, I forgot what movie he was referring to. But it was one of the original. It was with the Cruisers. I don't remember what episode.
Is he talking about Return of the Jedi? Or
was it Return of the Jedi?
I don't know. I need to go back and watch another movie.
But he makes a reference to one of the original Star Wars movies, and they're like, yeah, it's super old. Do you guys remember this? And they're like, how old is this kid? But yeah, obviously they can make the references now because they own Star Wars, and they can, since they own Fox now. Yeah, I'd say. But I don't know. They did a really good job. I just.
I have to, but the post-credit scene, come on.
Cameron, we all lost it in the theater.
So
obviously, there, as a Marvel movie, if you don't know already, which you should know because at this point you're still listening to this, so you understand that you watched the entire movie, there's a post-credit scene. There's sometimes one, and sometimes there's two. In this case, there's only one, which makes sense. And you kind of see the effect of this MCU rapture following and continuing with characters outside of just the Avengers. You see Maria Hill and Nick Fury essentially joining those who pass away. And in the midst of him passing away, there's two things that I love. One, they slipped in Samuel L. Jackson almost saying "mother." If you caught that, I was like laughing. But then at the same time, you see that he is paging out a distress signal to Captain Marvel.
Paging, 90s, prequel.
Yeah. Which is perfect, again, because...
And all you see is just her logo.
Yeah.
Like her insignia.
Mm-hmm. And it's perfect.
And the audience just went wild.
Everyone went nuts. They're like, oh! And also, if you notice, too, again, it's all about word choice. At the end, you know how at the end of each movie, they're always like, at least leading up to this movie, Black Panther will return in, or Spider-Man will return in, Avengers will return in. This time around, it's Thanos will return.
Yeah.
And they don't even say what movie comes next. They said Thanos will return. That's it. And
it's gonna be
woo! It's just, man, that movie makes me cry.
But I'm excited. I'm so curious to see, like we've addressed throughout this show, what role Ant-Man, Hawkeye, and of course Captain Marvel have in part 2 of Infinity War. Just because, like we said, there has to be a reason why they are not in this movie. There's a reason why they have separate storylines that either predate or exist within this timeline.
Yeah.
And I also love the idea of the fact that the very last person that Nick Fury sends out a distress signal to is Captain Marvel. She's coming to save the day.
I want to say, my little prediction
my Captain, Brie Larson. Getting ready for you.
Yes, BB. I want to say
she got yoked. Did you see her work out on Instagram? She got yoked.
Did she really?
She's like 6 months of working out and dieting can do strange things to your body. And she's like bench pressing and everything.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Heck yes. I want to say my predictions for those three are going to, with the exception of Captain Marvel, because she's really the only other person that can kind of handle the galactic part of it. I want to say Scott and Clint, Hawkeye Ant-Man and Hawkeye and essentially the Wasp, they're going to be dealing with the aftermath on Earth. Because obviously they'll be on Earth while everything's happening. I mean, same thing with Captain Marvel, but again, they just don't have the capabilities to handle galactic things like at her level.
See, but what makes me really interested as well is, so we know that Ronan the Destroyer
Yeah.
from Guardians of the Galaxy, who, by the way, Thanos lent Gamora Nebula to him when they were in search for the Soul Stone. He's the big bad for Captain Marvel, or he's one of the villains that's going to be coming back to Lee Pace as Ronan. So there's a history there.
I think it'd be interesting.
So I'm real curious to see where she fits into this crazy puzzle, right?
Do you think that she'll actually, in her prequel, you think she'll come across Thanos?
I'm wondering. And I'm wondering if, like, surprise, remember me? I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be real interesting.
Maybe.
Because it does take place, part of it, I think, in space. So.
Yeah, it does, because her storyline has to do with Kree, which are essentially galactic beings that also created, I think, partially have a hand in creating the Inhumans and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
March 2019 cannot come soon enough, but actually not really, because I don't want to get old. But anyways.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, in your case, you'll be 24.
Let's not mention that. But yeah.
You're old.
Yeah.
We God, we're coming up on time. There's so
sorry.
much. No, you're fine. There's just so much I want to talk about still. There was one thing that they kind of touched on, and I'm curious to see how it's going to happen later on. But Steve Rogers essentially taking up Nomad as his new persona.
Right.
And if you don't know who that is, he is essentially, it's this persona that Steve Rogers took on early on when he kind of lost faith in the government and everything, and he's not wearing the insignias and stuff like that. And you see it with his new shield. You see it that, like, he doesn't wear his old school stripes and stars and stuff like that.
Which is it's a vibranium shield, right?
Yeah. He got decked out with that Wakandan gear, which I'm here for. But anyways, I thought it was just, I want to see if that plays into it more. If he really is going to be Nomad, quote unquote Nomad from now on. He's not going to be Cap. Do you have any predictions on if they bring back everybody who would essentially take up his role if Steve decides to step down? My bet's on Sam.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Sam's going to take it over, just because I think Bucky will continue the role as White Wolf.
See, I wouldn't think that.
Really?
But given Marvel's track record of, like, kind of literally, like, throwing everyone for a loop, that's a great theory. I'm gonna say, yeah.
Because he even says it too. He's like, I love this place. Like, he likes Wakanda.
Right.
And he likes just, like, the solidarity, like the community and stuff like that. So that's why I kind of think that he's gonna stay in Wakanda, or at the very least be a part of that community where it's like, I think Sam will take up the role.
Not bad for a 100-year-old man.
Yeah, exactly. True. Oh my God, we are coming up on time. Because I have it recorded, I have to end it a little bit earlier for the ad reads and stuff like that.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, golly, there's still so much. There's still so much. I'm trying to, like, rack my brain and try and remember anything else that we were trying to talking over dinner and stuff like that. Can you remember anything else? Did we hit everything?
For the most part, I think we did.
Yeah. I guess we'll wrap it up, kind of ish. So maybe
predictions for part 2. Who lives, who dies?
I think I still stick with...
Who tells your story?
Good job. I think I'm going to stick with the original prediction that we had in the beginning, where the OGs are going to take the spots and they are going to pass on. Whereas, like, the new ones will come back and they will take on the roles as the new Avengers. That's my prediction. I think if anybody in the OG squad survives, maybe Black Widow.
Yeah.
I feel like she's the only one that might survive.
Possibly Thor, too, because Thor's a god.
Oh, and Thor, yeah. For whatever reason, I don't count him. I don't know why. But Thor,
I don't either. I know that's bad, but...
But I think it's because he broke away and he has his own storyline away from Avengers. That's, like, the strongest out of everybody else. Because if you still see, like, Cap...
He will take Loki back to Asgard so he can face justice.
Kind of, but also it's like Cap and Black Widow and Hulk even, and Iron Man... all of their storylines are still around home. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Where it's like Thor literally is on another planet and he's able to kind of construct his own storyline in Ragnarok alone. So for whatever reason, I don't count him. So yeah, if that's the case, though, I want to say maybe, okay, Thor, Nat, and Bruce. Okay. So I think Steve and Tony are going to die. Or at the very least, they're going to retire.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. So
hope to be wrong.
Hope to be wrong, but all good things must come to an end. But yeah, I'll kind of tie it up with that. If we watch it again, which most likely is the case, we can always try and do a part 2.
Yeah, we could.
We can always do a part 2, maybe like later on so more people can watch it. So obviously when this goes up, I will not be in the studio. This will only be like really the day it actually comes out. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever you want me to talk about, if Cameron and I do have a second episode, which is highly likely, tweet it my way at KCR Tishtalk. Again, that's KCR TISH Talk. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on KCR's On Demand, which is on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. So send me all your questions, your concerns, all that good stuff there. Go watch Infinity War if that's something that you guys like. Also, be wary that not everybody will have access to the movie just yet or are waiting it out just so they can enjoy the movie. So remember, Thanos demands your silence. Don't spoil it for anybody. Let them enjoy the movie for what it is. I honestly enjoyed it.
I did too.
I think it was deserving of the grade that it got on Rotten Tomatoes.
5 out of 5 Infinity Stones.
You're hilarious. Go buy all the merch. I don't know. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
There's 6, JK.
6 out of 6.
6 out of 6.
But yeah, that's been it for me. I just want to say, one, thank you, Cameron, for being on air with me. And also thank you for watching the movie with me. Thank you guys for the great semester. Again, this is my last show for the semester. I will be back next year. Next year is my final year with KCR. I will have 2 semesters left. I guess 2 semesters and a half if I decide to do summer shows, which is still up in the air, honestly. But again, follow me on the social medias to keep up with that. Also follow KCR College Radio for all the good social medias and everything there too. And yeah, again, thank you guys so much for the great semester. I have genuinely had one of the better years in colleges this year. Wow, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. Just trying to think at the end of the semester. A lot of things have happened this semester. I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of just like great creative choices in my life. And I think it'll just continue to go up from here. So I just want to thank you guys for always tuning in. I genuinely could not tell you from the bottom of my heart how much it means to me to have, honestly, an audience and a community now. So here's to the new year. I mean, new school year at least. Thank you guys again for the great semester. I will see you guys maybe over the summer if we decide to do something. And if not, like I said, follow me for all the content and all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. So to close it out, we're going to go with the OG one. So, bye guys. Have a good night.